GeoPower.
Hello everybody, my name is Barris Moss and I'm the CEO and co-founder of GeoPower. So before I begin, does anybody here know what a special purpose vehicle is? Yes. Show of hands. Okay, great. And for those of you who don't know, a special purpose vehicle is an entity that allows you to de-risk a project from the parent company. It's like a subsidiary of a company. And so throughout this presentation, we'll be talking about our token model, which is based off the digital issuance of a special purpose vehicle, and how that can be used to accelerate the development of renewable energy infrastructure while creating a really quick payback period for geothermal systems. So there's a really big problem in the geothermal industry in which there's 99% of untapped geothermal power potential across the United States and even more across the world. The reason most of these geothermal power plants are untapped is because of location. To transport the energy from where the power is generated to the grid costs about $1 million per mile. The grid is the conventional end uses for energy. It takes power from solar, wind, geothermal, biomass, anything that generates electricity, and it takes it to the end user, people like you in your homes. And so we're redefining what it means to generate electricity and how to consume it. Another problem in the geothermal industry is that as the power transports, you have frictional losses in the lines. So you have less electricity reaching point B than you generate at point A. And when you sell to the grid, you sell at very low PPA rates. And a PPA stands for a power purchase agreement. You sell at wholesale rates. So what we've done is redefine how we can develop electricity and consume it on site without ever having to take it to the grid. So what we show in this plot is a series of models for what the payback period looks like for traditional power to grid systems to take out all of that power and just simply cryptocurrency mining with it. So what you see on the blue line is capital cost plus O&M. That means the cost to install a geothermal project and the operation and maintenance over the years that's going to accrue. It's about $3.5 million for a 10 megawatt geothermal power plant. And if you see the red and yellow lines, this corresponds to revenue generated from cryptocurrency mining, and it also includes something called a carbon offset. So because we are having renewable energy power plants, and they're going to be generating renewable energy, you're going to be replacing carbon. And so the United Nations has a protocol that came out back in 1986, I think it was called the Kyoto Protocol, to where for every megaton of CO2 you displace, you get money for it. And so we showed two models. One where you get $10 for every megaton, and one where you get $50 for every megaton. And what this model shows is that when you do a cryptocurrency mining project with this power, you accelerate the payback period to about 3.2 years to 4.7 years, where the traditional payback period is 8 years. So it's a way to increase revenue generation for these geothermal power plants. So what we're going to be doing is taking the entire power plant and we're going to turn it into a token. We have a asset-based approach towards cryptocurrency mining. It's not your traditional mining operation where you buy power, you mine crypto. The power plant itself is a SPV. It's a vehicle that all it does is mine crypto. And the people in this room, for instance, would be holders of the token that hold the power plant. Any revenue generated from the power plant is paid to you. And so this is our model. We start by offering the SPV. We hope to do so Q3 this year. Nowadays, there are alternative token exchanges that allow you to automatically trade and liquidate your assets. T0 is an example of that, to where you can take a security. This is being done a lot in real estate for the tokenization of actual assets. And we're taking an asset-based approach towards cryptocurrency mining. And you can liquidate these SPV tokens at any time. Our business model is to take a certain percentage of every power plant because we're the ones working on developing the infrastructure. We're the ones setting it up. And that's how we generate our revenue. We generate our revenue as a token holder ourselves. So right now we're raising capital. We previously raised $500,000 from the United States government for grants and technology that we're developing from angel investors and things like that. And we have a Reg CF open on Start Engine, which is a way to, it's SEC approved, it's a way to do an equity fundraiser from both accredited and non-accredited investors, and we're raising up to $1.07 million. We have a bonus right now, 10% shares until March 26th. And accredited investors who invest over 10K, we can meet one-on-one and talk more about business strategy. So here are our partners and sponsors. We've had the privilege of being come out of MIT, to where MIT has given us money and support for a lot of things. We're affiliated with the Geothermal Associations and things like that. I'm part of the Harvard Energy Club as well. The United States National Science Foundation has funded us, and we're currently at an incubator called Greentown Labs. So, I'm out of time. Am I out of time for the video, or I can still do the video? Okay, we'll take out the questions. So I have a 1-minute video that goes over the technology.
At Eden, we work with existing operators to develop off-grid geothermal power infrastructure. Each geothermal well is selected precisely for its high geothermal gradient. Injected fluid is heated by hot rocks deep within the earth and transported to the surface through a production.
And I'll pause right here real quick. So this is just simply steam. You can imagine steam being like wind blowing. It's a force term that operates a
we work
turbine
with
generator.
existing ported to the surface through a production well.
Yep.
Once at the surface, the superheated fluid flows through a series of heat exchangers that separate the steam from the fluid. The steam component of the heated fluid then travels to turbines, which are connected to generators. The steam operates the turbine generator, thereby producing renewable geothermal power. The generated renewable electricity can then be transmitted to a crypto mining farm through transformers.
This is a revenue generation.
Inside the mining
Just
facility,
straight from
there
crypto.
are thousands of cryptocurrency mining machines. These machines will produce cryptocurrency 24/7 without the need for energy storage, allowing the power
Energy
plant
storage
to
is a big problem in
maximize
solar and wind.
revenue
You gotta have
generation
batteries when you don't
operating
generate power.
off-grid. After the steam leaves the turbine, it is directed to a cooling tower.
When the steam comes out, you have to
Steam
condense it and pump it back into the reservoir.
then
It allows you to have a
down into
24/7
the
power
reservoir
generation
through an
cycle.
injection well for a new power cycle.
And that's the end of the demo. So I'm ready for questions. Thank you.
Are you saying that power is generated at the plant but not sent to the grid?
Exactly what I'm saying. It's generated at the plant and consumed right on site and not sent to the grid. It's a new way of.
What value is added at the plant?
I think I mentioned previously in the presentation that for every mile you have to transport the power, you spend $1 million, and you have transmission losses, so you lose power as you transport it, and you still at cheaper prices, so you make more money, consume and get right on site. Yes.
This is insane. I love it.
Thank you. It's a little bit insane.
As time progresses, as we see the crypto mining mature, my understanding is that there reaches a point where you don't have to mine anymore. How is this model going to be sustainable, the business model for the next?
I believe the way they set up the mining is that every 4 years you have the amount of Bitcoin you get awarded for validating transactions. So I think the last block is set to be mined at in the year 2050. And so one of the reasons why we're doing this, I love crypto as much as everybody else does, but I'm really more into renewable energy. We're developing power plants that have a 30 to 40-year lifetime. Even if cryptocurrency goes bad, these power plants still exist. There are going to be other emerging energy-consuming technologies that need this power. One is going to be off-grid data centers. Two is going to be hydrogen production via electrolysis, which is like clean hydrogen fuel. So there are plenty of use cases behind, other than the cryptocurrency, even if cryptocurrency goes sour or starts happening.
So this could just be used to subsidize the cost of building the power plant, even if it's in the middle of nowhere.
That's how I
as we
see it. That's how I see
that
it.
area fill in with more residents, then it could be used to power those houses.
Yes, exactly. You own the power plant, not necessarily. It's not necessarily cryptocurrency money. You own the power plant. It's an asset-based approach. Yes.
Why don't you just put the power plant next to somebody else who consume the power?
It's not that easy because you can imagine geothermal works on something called tectonic plates, to where you have the Ring of Fire as an example. It's very location specific. A lot of these really good cheap reservoirs aren't in places to where you can just simply take it to the end user, to the people, or else it would have been a lot easier to these kind of projects we've done before.
But at the same time, your payback schedule, the graph you gave, is dependent on the value of the crypto mining, which
Yes, it is.
which has volatility, versus the power market, which is relatively consistent.
What's beautiful about crypto is that you can hold it. So that I did it at a 4K Bitcoin price, and Bitcoin is almost definitely going to go up. So even if you hold it and you wait until a pass certain threshold, you can sell at that point and you get more returns. That's actually a good thing for my project if you're smart about it. Yes.
So I'm curious about the SPV. As a startup, you are offering SPV tokens
Yes.
by creating an SPV using your company.
With the parent company. Yes.
So what are the tax considerations as a startup for the SPV? Are there
I think my honest to God question to that is I don't really know.
No, I mean, if as an investor I invest in the SPV entity,
Yeah.
you're getting the money. So are you paying taxes on that money? Is there tax?
I would assume there would be some kind of taxes included in that. One thing I did not include that would help the project is that we also get governmental tax incentives for building renewable energy. One more question, I think we're out of time.
Yeah. First off, really like the idea. I'm in the same space as well. When I look at this, I'm like, great. But when I buy that token, do I also own a part of the mining? Do I own the actual hardware, or is it just tokenize the power plant? Because other people are doing this in terms of off-grid solutions. It's a big industry where people are searching for the lowest kilowatt-hour pricing. So I mean, and then the final question is, in a highly competitive market where Bitcoin is at 4,000, are you only mining Bitcoin? Are you looking at other things? And what is your like price per kilowatt hour? Are you competing with the market in that sense?
Okay, I'll be quick because I'm out of time. The price per kilowatt hour is $0. You're not paying for power; you own the power plant. Whatever revenue the power plant makes, you get. And because of that, the SPV includes the hardware, and all those models I showed also include a hardware cost.
So it's a reselling of hardware at the end of its product life cycle then? Or
No, it's dividends paid from revenue generation from mining.
no? No, I understand the model. I'm asking about additional, for example, you have 30,000 units. So say
Okay.
that's 9.
You benefit from the entire project. If we went and we sell the miners, you also get that based off your percentage ownership of the SPV, you also get that value. Yes.
So it's not just this which is owned, it's also the mining.
It's literally everything. It's the power plant, it's the mining equipment, it's the carbon offsets you generate, it's everything that you can think about. You own the project, so it's a little bit different take on mining.
Great
So,
model. Great
yeah,
model.
thank you.
Thank you.